Welcome back to another Deep Dish Sports Show podcast. Clinton Cole and Steve Arent with you here. A late night edition, Steve, and it's January 28th, our third podcast of the month. We went over that.
In the midnight hour, she cried more. Little Deep Dish podcast for you late in the evening.
That was good.
Thank you.
We should put some music under that.
Well, you got a little Billy Idol happening anytime is good.
All right. Well, a late show, Steve. We finally gotten to do a podcast now.
It's great. I feel kind of like David Letterman. Late night. I feel like we should have Paul Schaefer, the band, play us in.
That'd be nice. We had plans to do one Sunday, then we had plans to do one Tuesday, and here we are on Thursday, almost Friday. Steve and I have plenty of stuff for you tonight. The roundtable is going to consist of Jeremy, Jesse, and Drew, so it'll be a good thing. Talking some Super Bowl, because I don't know if we'll get to do a show next week. So we're going to do Super Bowl this week, and we'll talk a little NBA. Steve, the Bulls are playing right now.
The Bulls are playing right now and doing what they need to do against teams like the Lakers that are just wretched basketball teams.
Yeah, they're bad. They're very bad. So it's good to see this because the Bulls have had issues sometimes with beating teams like this. You might remember just last week. That's the problem with this Bulls team. They're so inconsistent, right?
They are really having some trouble. A few minutes they look like world beaters. They go on a run and they look like they're not going to be beaten. Then they'll go up against a team like the Cavaliers, and they've beaten the Cavaliers twice this year. Then they'll lose to bad teams like the 76ers. Then they'll go up against a team like the Golden State Warriors and get blown out of the building, and then they'll come back. There's no rhyme or reason to it right now.
Actually, we should probably tell the world where we are in the world. So, deepdishsportshows.com, Twitter, DD Sports Podcast. Steve, you have multiple Twitters, and
there's a lot of social media in my world.
Yeah.
You can follow me on Facebook at Steve Arent or at the Devil's Radio Facebook page. I'm there at both places most of the time. On Twitter at Steve Arent or at Devil_radio. So, like I said, social media, I'm out there. Find me.
We'll get back to the Bulls in a second. I'm at CDCole55. Steve, I always like to do a little promotional time for your
thank
Devil's
you.
Radio. Well,
I will always
tell the world
take a moment for a
do.
cheap pop. Got Devil's Radio every Tuesday night on the SportstownChicago.com network, where we do a little bit of everything, mostly entertainment and fun and games, a little bit of sports mixed in, have some guest interviews. It's a festive listen. I recommend you check it out, or you can listen to it on SoundCloud. I post it on social media all the time as well. Or you can catch me this Saturday night in Gary, Indiana for Crash Tested Wrestling's Destiny event featuring Diamond Dallas Page. The Badass Billy Gunn and Carlito will be in the house for that event. They're expecting 3,500 people strong. And I will be calling the action. So if you want to see my head explode live on TV or on the radio, come on out to Gary, Indiana. So hopefully my head will explode before I get mugged.
I just ate some fruit.
Why? You're probably feeling better then.
Yeah, I hadn't eaten since lunch. But Steve does the wrestling stuff at Sportstown Chicago. And this week, or in his last show, Tuesday night, he had one of the wrestlers in studio, right?
The Real Deal, Rion Skill. One Clinton Cole called in and got to interact with the Real Deal. So it was the Real Cole versus the Real Deal.
I don't know anything about wrestling, so it was pretty bad. But
we had a top 10 list.
It was fun, though. Yeah. Let's get back to the Bulls, shall we?
We shall. And where are you, Cole? We like to hear about you, too. We know, aside from being the man, the myth, the legend behind Deep
my
Dish
gosh.
Sports.
I just remembered what happened yesterday. You remember that?
I remember yesterday.
No, I mean the exact thing that happened with the show. I'm not going to bring it up, but I just did. But I don't think it's for the public. I don't think
the world is full of asshats, and we just happen to know way more than we should.
Thank you.
YMCA.
Let's do Bulls.
All right. We started talking about the Bulls. Very inconsistent. They beat the good teams. They lose to the bad teams. Tonight they're beating the Lakers soundly at halftime. It's 58-40. But the Bulls are one of those teams, Steve, that they're not the Sixers. They're not the Lakers. That means, they're not a lottery team. But they're not the Warriors and not the Spurs. I don't even know if they're in that second tier. Where do you see the Bulls right now?
They're really trying to find an identity right now, and that's been the problem, and that's what's so maddening. Because at moments they look like they could be heading to that elite level with big wins against good teams. Like the Pacers, like the Heat twice, the teams that you have to beat to get anywhere in this league. And then, just when you think you figured them out, they let their foot off the throttle.
Yeah.
And they get destroyed by teams that they should be beating regularly. So they have no identity. I can't put them on a tier right now because, one night they're one tier, one night they're another tier. Yeah. It's really hard to gauge right now.
Talk about the week that was, I guess, for the Bulls. Monday, that was last Monday. So this past Monday, they lost to the Heat. They've lost 3 out of the last 4. Now, all 4 of those teams are playoff teams, but losing 3 out of 4, not good.
No, it's a tough little run. But then before that, they had put together a couple of wins, and then they had before that, there had been like 5 losses in a row, and then before that, 7 wins in a row. So it seems like it's feast or famine for this Bulls team.
They play Sunday at the Clippers. Blake Griffin, that whole punching is a member of the staff. He's out, but the Clippers are a better team without him.
Yeah, they've put up some nice. They put up a nice record while he has been injured, and I think they really they really wanted a reason to keep him out till after the All-Star break. Now they have one.
This is, of course, the first of 3, 6, 7, 8 out of 9 on the road for the Bulls, and these long trips. Every win's important now, I guess, in the East because it's the Cavs. Nobody wants to see the Cavs until the Eastern Conference Finals, I guess, is what I'm saying. So these games where in the last couple years we wanted people to rest and maybe the regular season didn't mean as much, I think it means something this year for the Bulls. And winning tonight to get off to a good start, pretty big, right?
Yeah, pretty big. I mean, every game is important because all over these games here in late January, early February, and into March, these are the period of time where you're going to need to find your identity.
Yeah.
You're going to need to find the Fred Hoiberg system, and you're going to need to come together, and the players are going to need to understand their roles. So when we do get closer to April and May, and where it does count, you're in the thick of things and not on the outside looking in.
All right, so Steve, we talked about the Bulls' schedule, and you talked about gelling as a team. Mike Dunleavy says he's not going to come back till February. Joakim Noah's done. Etuan Moore started tonight for Tony Snell. I mean, this team is all over the place. Are they going to make a move? Do they need to make a move for the deadline?
We've been talking about this since December. I mean, we all know that a move has to be made. They're not going to do anything of any kind of consequence with the staffing that they have now. So it makes sense to do something. Joakim Noah was one of the hot pieces that we were talking about moving in December, and now he is not available to move because he's injured. So that makes things a little difficult, and maybe you're not going to get as much as you could have before. But you need to do something. You need some complementary pieces because you have too much of the same thing, and too much of the same thing is not going to lead you anywhere deep into May and June.
The only player that they could possibly get at the deadline that would put them with the Cavs, or be able to beat the Cavs, is DeMarcus Cousins, and he's not going anywhere, I don't think.
I don't think so either. I thought for a while at the beginning of the speculation that maybe there was a real shot, and I thought it was a great maneuver. I mean, you're getting a guy that's young, and you're getting a guy that's tough, instant inside presence. A lot of players that own you right now would not own you any longer. But then as it kind of kept going and going and going, it seemed less and less likely. Just like the Cespedes situation the Cespedes situation that I thought you were talking about centipedes. And then all of a sudden you enlightened me that he'd already been re-signed.
Yeah, not a chance.
But it went on too long, and any possibility, the longer that you talk, any possibility of something happening, it gets more and more remote daily.
Steve, the Kings, I don't know if you've been paying attention to what Boogie Cousins has been doing lately.
I saw 50 points plus the other night.
They were playing the Hornets. I had the game on. He had 56 points. It went to double overtime. He fouled out early in the second overtime, elbowed Frank Kaminsky right in the jaw. But 56 points, 12 rebounds. He's averaging 33 points and 13 rebounds in January. And the reason I bring this up is because Rajon Rondo, he's averaging 13 assists in January. The Kings are a half game out of the playoffs. I don't know if I don't think they'd trade him. Well, they can get to the playoffs with him.
Well, they're on a run, and that is a team that actually is seemingly gelling a little bit. I mean, Cousins has been a great player for years, but is making that turn to maybe being an elite player this year, more so than any year past. Kind of a lot like Jimmy Butler. I mean, we knew Jimmy Butler was good. Jimmy Butler was an all-star last year, or if he wasn't, he should have been. But right now is absolutely playing like a psychopath.
Right.
So, I mean, you got the same kind of progression with the Boogie Cousins, although, Cousins was, Cousins not sneaking up on anybody. Everybody knows he's good, but right now he's playing otherworldly.
I was just looking at Jimmy Butler's numbers here for January. He's a all-star reserve. He was named to that team today. Talk about Jimmy Butler. DeMarcus Cousins is an all-star. Jimmy Butler's numbers, 25 points, 5 assists the last month. So we talked about it back in November. Jimmy Butler is not elite yet, but he can play his way to that status. He's doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like we said, he would need to for this team to have any kind of chance. But like I said, right now he doesn't have a very good supporting cast. At least they could be a lot better than they are. I mean, Nico didn't make the trip. He's he having some work done, so we're not going to see him. Yeah, we're not going to see him till after the All-Star break. So the next person's got to be up. So you get to see a little bit more of Bobby Portis than you would normally. He's got to step up and do what he needs to do. This would be a good time for him to shine if he's going to be something. They have players on this team, but nobody's really stood up other than Jimmy Butler to kind of grab any kind of prize. And that includes good old number one, who's, merely getting by in very average fashion right now. That has to change.
Derrick Rose is who you're talking about. He's had a good January, though. I mean, 17.5 points and 3 assists, but the problem with him, the assists per turnovers are not good. He commits way too many turnovers.
Derrick Rose has been pretty healthy this season for the most part. Yes, he's been dinged from here and there, and he misses a game here and there, but he's been around most of the time. So the cop-out that he's still playing himself back into shape and, the rigors of an NBA season, that talk has to just stop. Derrick Rose is an NBA player. He's a former superstar, and he's playing at a pedestrian level at best. Yes, he had a good January, but he's going to need to be much, much better for anything good to come of it. And, he won't be a Bull much longer if he continues this type of output.
The Bulls' offseason is going to be interesting, but I don't know. We don't know. We don't know what they are. They're one night, like we said, they beat anyone, and then the next night blow them up. And so who knows what's going to happen?
It's too bad, too, because as much as we've dogged Pau Gasol all year, he has been a exemplary Bull. When he got signed by the Bulls, I didn't think he was going to give the output that he's given over the past season and a half. I didn't think it was going to be close. So it's too bad that you didn't have another piece or two, because I think if they had another piece or two, I think Pau Gasol is even more valuable than he is, as regular. It's just unfortunate. They didn't make enough moves, and they should have. And you got to blame ownership. You got to know what you need and go out and get it.
We could talk about Bulls all day long, Steve. Let's do the roundtable.
I'm ready for the roundtable. My favorite part.
Welcome back to Deep Dish Sports Podcast. It's roundtable time, and we have 5 people on tonight. Obviously, Steve is still here.
I'm still here.
Yes, Jeremy, Drew, and Jesse. Guys, the first time I tried to remember, I got it right. Second time, I didn't get it right, so I'm glad Steve reminded me.
Hey, guess what? Even better, we did not have to listen to Quentin go, hello.
I know, it was great.
It was great.
We had perfect connection.
Seamless.
It only took once. And I think
this is the group.
Yeah, this is it. Everyone else is done. So, all right,
and
Drew.
now the starting lineup for your deep. I'm just kidding.
Okay, Drew, Jesse and Jeremy, you guys can introduce yourselves again. Drew, you can go first.
Drew Smith out of Dallas, Texas. I play quarterback currently for the East Texas Baptist University Tigers, and I like pretty much any Dallas sports. Go Cowboys.
Jesse?
Jesse, I'm from Wisconsin, but right now I live in LA.
And Jesse's couldn't figure out a microphone last time.
Yeah,
But we're
doing a
good
little. I'm working for NFL Network part time right now, while teaching tennis on the side, and I love all Wisconsin sports pretty much. Go Bucks, go Packers.
Bucks having a good year, Jesse.
Oh, the best, man, the best.
Jesse and I have known Jesse for, a year now. And Jesse worked in the California Winter League where same thing as the Palm Springs Power, except it's in the winter, of course. And so Jesse, I don't know how we started talking, but anyways, Jesse and I gave Jesse a lot after the Bulls beat the Bucks by 500 that last game of the playoffs. And so it's been a fun little rivalry here.
Yeah, Giannis wanted to kill somebody that game.
Yeah, that's why I got suspended for the first game. I totally forgot about that. And then the opening night, Giannis isn't playing because he tackled Dunleavy.
Oh, man.
All right, Jeremy.
Jeremy Lopez from Chicagoland area, currently going to school at Illinois Media School, which is where Steve and Clint, you guys both graduated from, correct?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Well, it was
Broadcasting.
ICB. It was ICB, and I think that's better than IMS because that sounds dumb.
Because you have IBS, Clint.
That's what it sounds like every time.
IMS, IBS, what's the difference?
Well,
Lots of
on
toilet
Steve's
paper.
show Tuesday,
What now?
there was a lot of that going on. But anyways, sorry, Jeremy, continue.
It's okay. Outside of maybe the Hawks, a reluctant Chicago fan, if you have Chicago on your shirt minus the Cubs, I'm cheering for you.
Jeremy and I talked about what the Sox would need to do to make the playoffs this year, and I said Chris Sale has to win 40 games. But Jeremy seems to think, obviously he's not winning 40. Jeremy thinks he's going to win 18, and then we started our will the Sox get enough offensive production, and we don't think so.
No.
What if they get Dexter Fowler?
What if they were the only team playing in the AL? Would they still win?
The World Series?
Yeah.
I don't
That's
know.
kind of the if a tree fell in the forest theory.
Yeah. I don't know. What was that?
That was a lovely clock.
That was nice.
Someone's
it
in
is-
London with Big Ben.
11:57. I don't even remember what we were talking about. White Sox baseball. Yeah. Jeremy, do you think they're going to make another move or what?
They have to. They're not going to make any big splash moves. I think they're going to make some, quiet. Nobody really thinks it's going to make that much of a difference to kind of fill out some more of the roster. But in terms of anything to make them relevant, I would not say so.
Where's
So-
Jeff Bloom when you need him?
Where's Jeff Wright when you need him?
We all know where that is. Up
Let's not.
Rick Myers behind.
Yes. Jeremy, this is the year they're going to make the playoffs though because we think they're going to win 70 games, all right?
You said that last year too, didn't you?
I know, but these years can't just keep happening, can they?
Well, Cubs have been saying that for over 100 years, so
Yeah. And now they're pretty darn good.
yes.
All right, let's start with Super Bowl stuff. We're going to talk NBA as well, but the Super Bowl guys, Drew, you've written a lot of NFL stuff. Jeremy, you too, and Jesse when the Packers were still alive, which they're not, thank goodness. But we've got the Panthers and the Broncos. Cam Newton and Peyton Manning, two quarterbacks, obviously very different styles. Peyton is one of the greats, but he's 50 years old, and Cam Newton's hitting his prime right now. You guys, I don't know, Carolina's favored by 6 points. We saw what Von Miller can do, disrupting one of the best quarterbacks of all time. And they've got a good defense. Drew, start with you. What do you see happening in this game?
I definitely want to start off by saying I was wrong for the second week in a row.
We lose Drew?
Hello?
We just bragged about our great connection. That's what we get. That's what we get right there.
Houston, we have a problem. Or should I
It
say
says,
Dallas?
call quality
Dallas.
feedback. How would you rate the overall quality of this call?
Garbage.
What is
More garbage.
I'll take it for 500.
Okay,
Al.
1 star is very bad. Choose all that apply. I'm just going to click all of them. Other, please specify. Drew left. Send feedback.
Can you hear me?
All right, we're good. I don't know. Can we hear him?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we got you now.
I'll finally give credit to the Panthers and Cam Newton. Last 2 weeks I picked against them, and they not only proved me wrong, but they just completely obliterated the other team, which is very impressive to say the least, especially in the NFL playoffs. I think they have a great balance between a run and a pass, and obviously Cam Newton, definitely helps that with his own balance and his arm and his feet. I think it's easy to say now that he'll probably be the MVP of the league. Their defense is playing amazing as always. Luke Kuechly, probably arguably the best defensive player in the league. I think he's playing amazing. I think he's leading that defense. And then you go on the other side of the ball, the Denver Broncos. And I said this earlier this week. I think after the Broncos lost to the Seahawks a couple years ago in the Super Bowl, I think their mentality from that day has been to create a defense of that nature, get a physical set of DBs, and I think they have that. Aqib Talib, Chris Harris Jr., I think that entire defense is I'm not going to say it's built exactly like that Seahawks defense, but it has that feeling to it. They have a dominant pass rush with a lot of speed to it. They have physical DBs who make plays, and they have basically carried one of the best quarterbacks of all time in Peyton Manning to this year's Super Bowl.
So the Panthers are favored by 6. So what do you think? I mean, what's your prediction?
I think I'm not going to do it 3 weeks in a row or 3 games in a row. I'll pick the Panthers.
Well, there you have it. Drew has the Panthers. Jesse, what do you think?
Watching this Broncos team throughout the playoffs, I mean, you got to give credit to that defense. No one picked them against New England. Everyone thought New England would just go in there and take care of business, but Peyton Manning on his last leg, pretty much, going out and getting it done. But I just don't think they have enough to do it against Carolina. Carolina's too good. I say a 2-touchdown win for Carolina, or 2-score game, 27-14. Just only 2 touchdowns for Carolina. They won't get a lot of points in the end zone, but they'll get in the red zone a lot.
One of the other writers on our staff, Joe Kennedy, he said the Panthers would score 55 points or something. Did you guys see that?
Yeah,
I did not see that, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Drew, what did he say exactly? He said 53 to.
He said 53 to 21, I think, or something like that.
What is that about?
I have no idea. I don't see that happening at all.
Jesse thinks it's going to be a 2-score game. Jeremy, what do you think?
Well, you have the number 1 ranked defense in Denver going against the number 1 ranked offense in Carolina. I think typically when you look at playoff appearances and who wins championships, you would say defense. I just think Carolina's defense is too strong to allow Denver to be scoring a lot of points. I do believe Carolina is going to win the game. I think it's going to be close for a little while. I think Carolina will pull it away at the end. I do think Cam Newton will be the first player ever to win a national championship in college, win the Heisman Trophy, and win a Super Bowl.
I think we can all agree that 2 scores is the max. I'm going to go Panthers by 10. We've talked about it. The Broncos defense is good, but what Cam Newton's doing this year is just, I don't know, it's just amazing. I mean, I guess you could look back to when the Patriots went to the Super Bowl undefeated. They as a team were amazing, and then they lost. So anything can obviously happen, but I just think that what Cam's doing is too special this year. I think the Panthers won by 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just their defense is too good for Peyton Manning to do anything. There's no way. No way.
Steve,
Yes, sir.
what do you think on the Super Bowl?
Well, I tell you what, maybe I'll be the only guy that does this, but I am gonna say Denver beats
You and
Carolina.
Chris?
And I didn't want it to happen that way, but then you went and showed me that Carolina fan video,
Yeah. That was
and that
good.
immediately shifted my allegiance to Denver.
If you guys
Because
didn't
that
see it, it's on
absolutely
Facebook.
Killed me.
What they did was amazing.
It was not amazing.
It was so
If that is
bad.
indicative of the human beings you're surrounded by in your new digs,
No.
color me never there.
Well, I don't think they speak for the entire state, but yeah, a very very humorous thing. So 2 scores, 1 score. What
I
do you
think
think?
it will be very close. I don't even know if it'll be, a field goal that separates the two of them. It'll be very close, couple of points, maybe a conversion. Will go sideways for somebody. I don't think Peyton Manning's going to do very well, but I don't think Cam has come up against a defense like he's going to come up against this particular game. And I don't even think the fast feet of Cam Newton can get away from that pursuit that's going to be in his face every moment. They got a great offensive line in Carolina. Perhaps they can be chippy enough to slow them down a little bit, but Tom Brady is the coolest customer at the quarterback position I almost have ever seen. And that guy was seeing defensive people that weren't even there. He was seeing ghosts. He got beat up so much. So if Cam's going to win the game and be the MVP, it's going to be a tall order. I think Denver wins by at least 3.
But if there is a quarterback that can do it, it's him.
I definitely think he could get out of danger a lot better than anybody. So if the improvisational Cam Newton is on point, then maybe Carolina pulls out the victory. But boy, when those dogs sink those teeth in, it could be dog pile on the rabbit.
So you've got the Broncos. Everyone else has the Panthers. You and Chris McKinley should hang out. I told Chris I was going to drive back and just heckle him during the entire game and then drive right back after the game because John Frame and I went over to his house for the Super Bowl they played against the Seahawks.
Oh, you love
And-
that story.
Oh, it was great. It was great, and he doesn't think that would be such a good idea. So, you guys, Drew, we were talking about the NFL draft a little bit. We did our Super Bowl stuff. Let's talk about. I know Senior Bowl's coming up, and we haven't even had the combine, but we were talking quarterbacks and the Cowboys, and you said something pretty interesting about Carson Wentz, but not to the Cowboys.
Yeah, future reference, or not future reference, but I guess I can go ahead and say I'll have a piece about this coming out, or an article about this coming out more than likely tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. But I talk a little bit about.
Yeah, don't give it all away. Just a little bit.
No, I'm not. I'm not. Carson Wentz, I think, could be a great fit in Dallas. I think he has all the intangibles, and I think he has a good head on his shoulders, and he's a proven winner, obviously. And that's something that the Cowboys could use, and a level-headed guy, not some big distraction. There's been talks about Manziel. There's been talks about Robert Griffin III, and both of those guys have their own abilities that they can win games with, but I mean they just bring a ton of attention that don't even know if we want or if we can even handle anymore. I mean, Greg Hardy seemed to be a little too much, but
Greg
with
Hardy
that said,
shouldn't even be in the NFL.
yeah. With that said, I think Carson Wentz would be a great pick for them. I just don't see them taking him at the number 4 pick overall. I don't think in their eyes they see him as a number 4 overall pick. And I don't know why they would, but maybe they think they could possibly get him in the second round, which he won't be there in the second round. Now, maybe they trade their second round. Maybe they trade up and get 2 first-round picks and possibly take a player at 4 and take another player and then take Wentz somewhere in the mid-round. It would have to be before 15, more than likely before St. Louis
again.
picks, because they're more than
Did it just happen again? Yep.
a quarterback as well. Can you hear me?
I don't know. In and out.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Hey, if Dallas
what I
wants
was
him
saying
and
is if
Jerry
they trade-
Jones wants that pick, they'll take him.
Jerry Jones, I saw an article today, Jerry Jones saying they're not drafting a quarterback at all.
Yes, I read that as well, which just further brings the idea that they're going to get either Manziel or Robert
Right,
Griffin.
right.
Hell, maybe they might get both. I mean, knowing Jerry, you never know.
So would you
but-
rather that happen or them draft a quarterback?
It's hard to say. I mean, with the number 4 overall pick, you want to see someone, you want to see a player that you can draft that comes in immediately and plays, that comes in and has a immediate effect. I mean, when you think top 5, maybe even top 10, you're thinking immediate production. Well, if they get a quarterback at number 4, I mean, yeah, Romo might go down and you might get that immediate production, but there's a good chance you don't see this guy for 2, 3, maybe 4 years. And, you know, is it worth a number 4 overall pick where you could probably go get that difference maker on defense where we could really use right now? And the other question is there even that guy at the number 4 pick? You know, there is talk that they might trade back and then obviously take Wentz, you know, somewhere probably in the middle round as well, or maybe even a Paxton Lynch. But in my mind, I think it's time for them to draft a quarterback, whether it's number 4, whether it's second round, third. They just need to draft a quarterback, period.
All right, Steve, Jeremy, we're Bears fans. Jesse, a Packers fan. They obviously don't need a quarterback. They've got Rodgers and they've got Brett Hundley. For the Bears, Ryan Pace says he's going to draft a quarterback every year. I actually did a Bears draft thing, focusing kind of on the defense, and that's going to be out tomorrow. So, I don't know, read it if you want. But do you think the Bears, we talked about it, they have so many issues on mostly the defensive side of the ball. But if Goff or Lynch or Wentz or one of these guys drops to them in the first round, is it inconceivable that they draft a quarterback?
I think it's inconceivable.
Okay.
You better be drafting a dominant pass rusher if one is available when you pick, or I don't know what's going on there. If they draft a quarterback number 1, I don't think I could live with that. I think I think it would be you're putting the cart way ahead of the horse. I mean, Cutler is maybe not everybody's favorite option, but he did have a better than average Cutler year. Could be even better this year. He's certainly better than a number of other quarterbacks in the league that on some shows are vaunted as great, like the great Blaine Gabbert. So I don't think quarterback is a priority right now. I mean, you certainly need one. They don't have the future quarterback in Chicago right now. That's obvious. But especially if you're going to try to compete in Cutler's window while he's here, the defense has got to be a priority. Or even an offensive lineman, because you're a little thin on the offensive line. And that was proven without a shadow of a doubt last year. So I'm going, explosive pass rushing force or a offensive lineman that will stabilize a line that has gotten better but still is a couple of pieces away from being anything consistent.
Steve, we joked and I said that Von Miller would lead Broncos to the Super Bowl and then he'd sign with the Bears. The first part happened, but there's no way he gets out of Denver.
Not a chance in hell.
Right. At least franchise tag him. So I guess what I was getting to is if the Bears somehow got Von Miller, would you move to the if one of those top quarterbacks drafted, let's say Pace has Goff or Lynch or Wentz in his top 5, if he drops there and somehow they get an elite pass rusher, which is Von Miller, would you be okay with the quarterback then, or do you still want something else?
I would still want something else. Like I said, that offensive line needs significant help, and if that's not good enough for you, how about somebody that can cover somebody in the secondary?
Well,
that's always good as well.
Your pick, Kyle Fuller.
He has been a little less than stellar, but he still shows flashes, but not nearly consistent enough. Bulls-like consistency for Kyle Fuller.
Kyle Fuller, one of those. What was he? Top 15?
Yeah, he was. Well, he was. I think he was 16. The Bears took him at 16 or something like that.
Jeremy, do you remember?
I don't remember now.
He was the 14th pick.
14th pick.
So a top 15 pick. nothing. I mean, he's
Well,
had what
he's had
a quarter of
flashes,
his
but he
games
hasn't-
he's been good, maybe.
He's just not good enough. Maybe when they move him to safety, finally he'll find his spot. I don't know, but they need cover corners too. I mean, those are important in this league. I mean, we've seen the wide receiver position get better. We've seen the lack of contact make that job a hard one. So it's hard to find a good one, but they better do it, or you're not going to get very far with wide receivers owning you like they've owned the Bears defense.
A lot of teams have one very good wide receiver. Not many teams have two very good wide receivers. We saw what Josh Norman does for the Panthers, and see how big of an asset he is to that defense. Got to have at least one corner that can shut a good percentage of the wide receivers down.
And we don't have that guy on this team right now. So
Nope.
before they start thinking about drafting the future quarterback, they need to worry about the here and now and, give us defensive players that are going to last for the next 15 years.
Jeremy, you do a lot of Bears stuff for the site. What are your thoughts? I mean, obviously the Bears.
I'm jumping on Steve's train too, but let me play a little bit devil's advocate here. Looking at the Bears' schedule for next season, and if Ryan Pace gives the Bears another offseason that he gave the Bears last season, will the Bears be a better team or a worse team next season?
If Ryan Pace does what he did last year in the draft,
In the draft, free agency, starting to build the team.
I don't know. I mean, I guess all of this really depends on. A lot of it depends on what they do. Obviously, with their own guys first.
Yeah, my point is, the Bears, and I agree.
So what I'm saying is, if he brings those guys back, does that count?
No.
Okay. All right.
But what I'm saying is, the Bears, they have so many needs on the defensive side. I agree. You need that pass rusher. You need that elite pass rusher. You need inside linebackers. You need cornerbacks. You need safeties. Again, so you have so many needs. I do believe that the Bears will have a better season next season. So while I do
Record-wise,
yes. Team-wise, probably not, because they have so many needs. Now, and again, I would be upset, very upset, even if the top quarterback in the draft falls to the Bears. I would not be happy with them picking a quarterback. However, I don't see in the future the Bears having or getting in a better spot to pick their future quarterback after this offseason. So we got to have that elite pass rusher. We need another inside linebacker because Christian Jones, Shea McClellan, both were healthy scratches at various points last season. So one other thing that I'm going to say too, in this Super Bowl, there's not one single offensive lineman that was ever drafted in the first round. So
that's interesting.
While offensive line, right guard, if you move Kyle Long over to left tackle, you're still needing another tackle to kind of fill the void. I don't think an offensive lineman is going to be a need here in the first round. I think we can find quality offensive linemen later in the draft. While I was looking, and I did an article as well, this draft is heavy in defensive and offensive line talent. So this draft coming up, the Bears need to focus on a skill position, whether that be an inside linebacker or somebody in the secondary to kind of solidify covering those, the Calvin Johnsons, and Jordy Nelson will be coming back next year in our own division. So I think that's the direction the Bears need to go early in the draft.
There are a lot of good defensive free agents this year. I mean, I'm looking through this list I put on our Twitter. I mean, Alshon Jeffrey's number one, but then there's four of the next five are defensive players. Wilkerson, Eric Berry, Ayers. There's a lot of good impact players on the defensive side of the ball that you know what you're getting. So what I'm saying is, if there is an elite player on offense that drops a quarterback, I don't know. I don't think I'd be mad if they took someone on the offensive side of the ball at the first pick or not the first pick of the draft, but their first pick.
Okay, if the Bears look at your list and they see Wilkerson, Berry, and et cetera as top
Well,
defense.
they look at the list first of all and see Alshon Jeffrey at the top. So I think
he's
that's
going to get
number one.
franchise tagged,
Yeah.
so I'm not too worried about that.
All right.
You lose Matt Forte, but like I said, I think you're not going to. It's either Alshon or Forte. You're not gonna keep them both because you're not going to pay that salary.
Right.
So again, you're making your offense weaker with that exchange. Is Kevin White going to be the goods? Don't know. Looks
Hope
great
so.
on paper, but we've never seen it.
Right.
It's a car that's been sitting in the garage all year long. Haven't had a chance to take it out and drive it even a little bit. So the offense could take a step back. I mean, obviously Langford played pretty well. Could he do what Matt Forte does over a 16-game season, even with Kadeem Carey spelling him? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. So I think that is a big, big situation that they're going to have to contend with. If they sign 3 of those defensive players you mentioned, and suddenly they have a defensive line full of great pass rushers, and they get a guy in the secondary that can actually cover somebody, then okay, you go to the draft and you say, you know what, this quarterback is here. We're never going to get a shot like this again. He can sit on the bench for 2 years while Cutler finishes out his tenure and learn. Then maybe I'm all for it. But they're going to have to attack the free agency and fill some glaring defensive holes before I would condone and think a good thing has happened if they draft a quarterback. They have a quarterback. They don't have a quarterback of the future, but they're kind of playing for the now to a certain extent.
It's true. Jesse, your Packers, they win the division every year. Or not every year, but they make the playoffs every year, it seems. What do you think your team's going to do in the first round?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. They're going to be at the end of that first round. So what you're looking at, like last year, they picked up Demarius Randall. He had a pretty good rookie season. I picked up Quinn Rollins. So they picked up a couple of secondary guys early in last year's draft. I think it's going to all come down to whether they sign Mike Neal, Nick Perry, 2 outside linebackers. Mike Neal, a former second-round pick, Nick Perry, a former first-round pick. You want to bring those guys back. If they do, I don't know if they have money for both, but I'd say you bring back Mike Neal. He's obviously the better player. Nick Perry hasn't been like a first-round pick kind of guy that you thought he would. But sometimes you just got to cut your losses. I'd say if they can bring back Mike Neal, that'd be nice. And then I would say try to go for that. Try going for outside linebacker, defensive line. Troy Guion, free agent. B.J. Raji, free agent. So you're 2 big guys in the middle. You could go somewhere in that area. But I think right now you got to look at linebacker or that defensive line spot, depending on what these free agents do. James Stark's also a free agent running back. So that could also be an issue there too as well. Maybe it's a running back sometime in the draft as well. But I'd say for early first round, you got to go defense or a wide receiver if there is a good one.
We still have 3 months to talk about the draft.
Packers are just licking their chops, waiting for 22 to book passage to Milwaukee. And that is going to be a day that I'm going to jump off my roof.
The Bears have a lot of work to do themselves, and we talked about it at length.
I will say one more thing, if I
Yeah.
can, Clinton,
Absolutely.
is that John Fox and Ryan Pace have declared that they're not going to be going after those big names, such as Devon Miller that we brought up earlier.
Yeah.
Their plan this offseason is to spread out that cap space of money to sign multiple players at multiple positions.
Which there are a lot of good ones out there that aren't named Von Miller. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do. He's also said he's going to take the best player overall.
The Chicago Bears
You know what I mean?
are on
So-
the clock.
It's going to be interesting. Guys, it's 12:30. We're going to wrap things up. Do you guys have anything else? Anything else in sports you want to talk about real quick?
Anything about the All-Star game for NBA? Anybody
Yeah, go ahead.
interested?
Yeah, go ahead.
Anybody think that you guys see for the first time since '97 that Tim Duncan nor Dirk Nowitzki made the All-Star game?
Saw that. It's a
That's
shame.
pretty crazy.
Those guys are so old, but they're still so good.
Yeah, I
That's
think
nearly
it's
20 years ago.
I think it's embarrassing that Kobe Bryant's in the All-Star game, but whatever.
what I think is embarrassing is Tyronn Lue's coaching the East.
I think
That
I
Is
don't
it
have
more?
anything.
Is it more surprising that he's coaching the East, or that either
Popovich?
Luke, no, or one of the two Golden State coaches is not coaching the West?
The All-Star game is just stupid. I mean, all of it, the voting is dumb. All of it's dumb. It's just, I don't know, it's just a big entertainment game, popularity game. So,
It's going to be 217 to 220.
yeah, exactly. But it's still better than the Pro Bowl, right?
But don't be sick
Yes.
or you'll get
that's
suspended.
actually a good
Yeah,
question. I don't even
exactly.
know what is better. Half the NFL guys don't even want to play in the Pro Bowl anymore. They don't even want to go. They say they're injured.
Well-
whatever that.
Well, the NBA still has an incentive to win. I mean, you still get that home court, much like baseball. I think baseball obviously probably has the best All-Star game out of all the sports, just in the sense of it's more competitive. It seems like, and it has home field advantage as well in the World Series. Yeah, the NBA has the same thing, but I mean, it doesn't get serious until the final 2 minutes of the game.
The MLB All-Star game is the stupidest thing in history. If neither team scores a run that's in the 15th inning, you want to decide the World Series on some fluke play. Like, it's such a dumb. I know what you're saying. It's important in that sense, but it's dumb, don't you think? It's stupid. Why should that
Speaking of ties
decide
in
home
the All-
field advantage?
Speaking of ties in the All-Star game, I was at that 2002 tie in Milwaukee. That was so bizarre, so weird.
Jesse, you are very lucky you have the Packers because your sports are terrible.
Oh, it's
So-
it's been painful.
So for the
Saw the
NBA
Packers.
and the MLB, what's another way to decide home field, I guess, or home court? What would be another way?
Best record.
Yeah, best team.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes,
no,
record.
I agree. I was just wondering.
Yeah,
I
like-
don't know if you had another.
Play a game
Idea.
of cards. I mean, I don't know. I
Have
can't
Fleet
think of
Blake-
any
have
other
Fleet
feasible.
Blakeman flip a coin.
Oh God, that's. I don't know. It should be best record for every single sport, and that's the end of that. I don't.
And Steve mentioned too, get sick, can't play in the All-Star game.
That's also
You're
dumb.
suspended.
Wasn't Ovechkin? Didn't he get the same thing as Taves?
Mm-hmm.
Those are two of the game's biggest players, and they're going to suspend him for a regular season game. That's so dumb.
Yeah.
There's so much stupid out there that you can't throw a quarter and not hit it.
Oh, did you guys see DeMarcus Cousins is going to do the skills competition? Like where all the point guards do?
He's shooting like 35% from 3-point range. I just saw that the other day. But yeah, the point guard thing, like if he was doing the 3-point contest, that would have been interesting. But I don't want to see him pass a ball.
Yeah, or like run through cones.
Yeah,
like,
that's not. Go do the 3-point contest. Go dunk. I don't want to see you run an obstacle course with the basketball.
Dribble around cones.
Yeah. This isn't basketball camp.
I say make them drive big wheels around cones.
I think we're off the tracks now. Do you guys have anything else? We're gonna wrap this thing up. Nothing.
That's it.
All right, guys. Thanks
Hey,
for.
Australian Open semifinals tonight. If anybody's up late watching, I know last night kind of sucked, but tonight hopefully should be better. Anybody
Whenever
wants to.
I took tennis in May term once, and I just tried to hit it over the back fence every single time.
I see you do that.
Yeah. Do you remember that at Indiana Wesleyan?
Oh my gosh.
Tonigal was the teacher, and then I started diving everywhere, and I got hurt. But tennis is great, Jesse, if you're good at it.
Yeah.
If you play it, then I'm sure it's interesting. A lot of people hate watching baseball. A lot of people hate watching soccer. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's for me, doesn't do anything. But some of those athletes are pretty darn impressive.
They are, definitely.
Steve, any parting shots for us?
Currently, the Bulls are up 15 late in the fourth quarter with just over 6 minutes to go.
Jeremy, anything?
Nope, not much. Thanks for having me on.
Yep, Drew.
That's it. Go Cowboys.
Yeah. I
Don't
know
forget
about that.
Deadpool on February 12th. Should
What
be
is
a good
You're the
Deadpool?
deer,
film
everybody.
for Valentine's Day.
What's Deadpool?
Kobe Bryant looks like he's gonna fall asleep.
Did you see him congratulate Dirk?
Yeah,
Yeah.
after an amazing shot.
Yeah, that was
was,
pretty cool though.
All right, guys. I think that's gonna do it. You guys, thanks for doing this tonight, and we'll talk more about the site next week. But that'll do it. Thanks for joining me, guys.
You're the
Bye.
deer.
If you- Steve, you still there?
Huh?
Have a happy birthday, man.
All right. Thanks. See you
Yeah.
guys.
Happy birthday, buddy. Be good. Take
All
care,
right, see ya.
Jeremy.
Yeah, see ya.
Bye.